welcome everyone. It's an honor to be here to take the stage and meet these inspiring women and men. And I'm looking forward to listening and discussing all the topics that are really related to everything we're going through. And there are a lot of inspiring characters here. And the core theme is, I think, very righteously put in, women building bridges to a bold tomorrow, which I think is also a very good line, and it's in a great harmony with Turkey's historic geographic role and position in the world. And the discussions today here center on how women can collaborate and lead amidst intense global geographic role going around the world right now. Like, a lot of things are shifting, as we all know, we're talking about, and you know, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of risks we're talking about. So I feel very privileged for having the role of moderating this first session, opening session, with three inspiring names. And we're going to look into major trends impacting the global economy. I would love to also have my dear guests here. Please, Damla Harman from EY Turkey, Managing Partner, and EY Europe Central Assurance Leader. Welcome. And also Bertrand Badre, Managing Partner and Founder, Blue Orange Central, and former Managing Director and CFO, World Bank. And Andy Zeng, Global Portfolio and Technology Manager, Collaboration Robotics, ABB from Switzerland. Now I'm joining them with my glasses. Oops. Can I have the mic first? Thank you so much. So as I said, these are not the easy times for any of us. A lot of uncertainties, geopolitical risks, climate-driven risks, and of course, technology revolution that we're talking about almost every day. No one can escape from that theme. These are the main topics sitting on the top of the list, and this session will, I am hoping, provide a lot of perspectives on these current factors shaping the global market. And we're going to start with Damla Harman from EY to talk about the market trends. And the current market is ruled by so many forces, so making a prediction is not easy, or growth is difficult on both ends of business and governments. So I'm wondering the highlights that you're going to make today. Here you go.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm really pleased to be here in my hometown. It's great to be here with this group to go over the mega trends that we live. May I have the clicker if possible? So, if not, okay, I will begin. Thank you so much.
I think better to go up to the podium.
Okay. Okay, I will continue with my agility, okay, with the slides. Before I begin, I would like to ask how you feel in the last few years. For me, it was like a roller coaster. From tariffs to trade shocks, AI, COVID-19 to great resignation, supply chain disruptions, extreme climate conditions and events. It was because our operating environment have changed. Right now, we are living in an environment, as EY called, Navy world, a world where there is significant change, accelerated, non-linear, volatile, and interconnected. We will be talking about this Navy world today, which is the world of the future from now on. In the Navy world, the uncertainty doesn't only increase the risk, but also it changed the rules of the leadership. It will change how the leaders will contribute to growth in future, and also it will change how the future leaders be. You see, the story is not only about a disruption, but also it's about inclusion, access, and being the future of the leader as a next generation. It's an opportunity for us. I also believe that every change brings opportunity for us, and this is the time. Navy world brings three things to us. First one, we should prepare multiple versions of future because one forecast will not be enough. Second, we should rethink the best practices, the key assumptions we use right now, because be sure that those best practices will not fit for purpose. And the third one, which I believe is the deeply human one, beyond rethinking what we do right now, we should reimage the future and think what we can do in the future. Today I'll go through the mega trends identified by EY in a lens of this reimaging the future. Because you cannot prevent all the disruptions that you may have, but rethinking the future, I believe you can have any disruptions in the future. 5 themes will be important for us today. Human and AI, this is the hybrid era. Tomorrow's resources, capitalism rebalancing, and how the leaders will respond to these changes with resilience and agility. Let me begin with the human and AI side. All we know, the relationship between human and AI is shifting in speed, in scale, in depth. AI is moving from augmented, isolated tasks to reshaping how the people think, decide, and collaborate. The ultimate goal is simply not doing more. So, therefore, there is a clear shift to what really matters for us: objectivity, originality, creativity, and most important, judgment. EY defines this new emerging operating model as super fluid organization. Super fluid organization and enterprise is the organization where data, human and capital can flow between the silos without hierarchy and without silos. And that will be done by the power of AI. We will automate, and it's being automated, the simple task force. Agentic AI coordinates complex workflows. Many algorithms are being done. Real-time visibility is executed right now. So here is the question. Is this the machine takeover? Definitely not. This is the human-machine hybrid era. The winning organizations are right now structuring their strategy to increase the potential of human, but not decreasing it. And another question to the leaders of the future right now: if the machines will automate the workflows, execute and standardize, what will the humans do? I think that's the question that I received in many times. EY has 3 simple answers for that. First one, content engineering. Framing the right problem. Second one, strategic thinking. Are we solving the right thing? And the third one, which is super important, story-driven innovation, which is putting the insights into action, which the people will follow, walk to talk. I know you have many questions in your mind. Uncertainty, machine, AI, hybrid era, many things are changing. That's why governance and trust will be very important in future. Changes are happening very rapidly. Therefore, governance will be the guardrail for this change. And trust will be the infrastructure, but not a nice-to-have thing. Let me give you some examples about how AI reacts in our daily lives and how human and AI flow between the channels. Based on the Future Consumer Index of EY, 60% of the consumers do AI before they decide on something and they buy something. On a busy morning, you woke up, you would like to buy a detergent, and you ask an AI to buy it for you, the best one, the best fitting case for you. So the consumer leaders are thinking right now the competition models, because the competition is not on the shelves. They're competing to be choiced, to be selected by a machine that they don't control. But on the other hand, 94% of the people go to physical stores before they decide. And over 60% still seek advice in the physical stores before deciding, which means trust and human are still there. In a neighbor world, everything is changes. Can our talent remain the same? Absolutely not. The talent will be rewritten in near future. You won't have the pipeline to fulfill with the talent, but you will have the mix of portfolio of human and AI that will be renewed. What about learning? It will completely change. It will be completely co-working between human and AI. They will learn from each other. Migration infrastructure. Right now, there are many resources at the edges of the earth, in the deep seas, top of the mountains, in the Arctics. The people are looking for minerals, resources. So we have to make these people live there. For this, the infrastructure will change. There will be new visa programs, householding programs. I was talking with one of my clients this week. We need to build up the internet for them. We need to bring the electricity for them. You see, when there is a change in the talent side, also the ecosystem will follow it. In a neighbor world where there is misinformation and data privacy will be very important, currency is right now the talent trust. It will be super important and it will help to scale this change. After the talent renovation, I think the long-term value will be super important. This neighbor world didn't come to us by itself. The reason why it came to us also is not a coincidence. It is the result of our inactions of climate events, economic inequality, and short-term thinking. Until now, we managed this short-term thinking because these were the times of the constant. It's a discussion about we managed or not, but we are okay. But in the neighbor world, it will be impossible to manage these things with short-term thinking. The organizations will rethink how they can create long-term value, not only investing in commercial sides, but also human and technology side as well. We also believe that capitalism can be rebalanced, shifting government short-term expenditures to long-term investments, investors' short-term profits to long-term return mindset, and which is important, we should shift the mindset to stakeholder value from shareholder value. Investing in technology and human will be our intangible, and redirecting the capital in these areas will be super important as well. There are many changes in the environment. As I said, the leadership will change as well. So how the leaders will respond to these changes? They will have to transform how they transform right now. They should have multiple scenarios and options, because believe me, one option and one response will not be enough to solve the future problems. They should have the North Star on the top of their heads to guide them, but they should reroute themselves when they have to change, but they have to move quickly, and they should not lose the momentum of the speed. This is super important. That should be agile. They should set the governance, because governance will be important. It will not be a complementary structure, It will be part of the operating model. It will be the, I am underscoring it, it will be the guardrail of the speed. This will be super important. I will conclude where I began. I asked the question how you felt. It's a human spirit, right? Until now, throughout the history, we did many things without knowing all the answers. And we will not know all the answers for the future as well. That's for sure. We just re-image, we landed on the moon, we built up the internet, we invented many things. And we will continue to do that with our curiosity, with our challenging questions. The organizations which can adapt themselves to the new changes, as I said in the AI side and the talent side, and if they combine it with resilience to observe the shocks, and also if they are agile enough to move quickly when they have to change, they will be winning in the future. My call is too simple. Think bigger, out of the box, take bold and smart moves. Invest in technology and human. I'm telling this because future is coming to us, but we should reimage the future. We should build the future before it comes to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Damla Harman. I think she mentioned really important topics and laid some ground for us. And the topics that she touched will be also spoken by our other presenters. And Bertrand is approaching right now. Bertrand Badre, Managing Partner and Founder, Blue Orange Capital and former Managing Director, and CFO. Whirling, you have a lot of titles. So climate change impact is something that no longer we can ignore or avoid from, but it's getting bigger and bigger. So we would love to hear your take on that and how related it is to other topics that we're discussing daily.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, because in a way I'm the kind of dissenting note on this panel, not because I'm the man and the only woman, but also because climate change is one of these mega trends that even if we don't talk that much about it, is still there and it's not super positive. So I will not make you dream a lot, but I will try to wake you up. You know, it's early morning. But I think my message today is extremely simple. It's a message that you have heard for many years. It's a message that you know. It's a very well documented macro trend. When our planet breaks, our economies break, our societies break. And who are the people which are hit first? The women. I wrote a paper a number of years ago which was called Gender Justice is Climate Justice. And it's truer than ever today. And I don't say that because I'm at a global summit of women, because I really mean it. Jean Monnet was one of the founding fathers of Europe, used to meet a number of global leaders, Churchill, Roosevelt, etc. And every time he met with a leader, he came with a piece of paper, that's my kind of 20th century legacy. He came with a piece of paper and he tried to put on one single sheet of paper the balance of the situation. That's what he called the balance sheet. I'm calling it a balance sheet as well because I'm coming from banking and finance. So let's imagine that Earth is a company. It's Earth PLC or Earth Inc. Let's imagine that this company has 8 billion shareholders. Let's imagine further that we in this room are the board of this company. We'll discuss governance a lot in the coming 2 days. So my message to the board, let's assume I'm the CFO of this company and I say, guys, we have a problem. Growth is slowing. Our revenues are flattening. Not great. We have built an immense amount of liabilities. Environmental liabilities, social liabilities, and guess what? Financial liabilities. We have 350 trillion of debt on Earth. 350 trillion. That's a lot of zeros, right? And we are depleting our assets. You remember there was a joke during the financial crisis when in the balance sheet, on the left side there is nothing right, on the right side there is nothing left. That's exactly where we are today with planet Earth. It's not new. We have made a number of profit warnings. We know that it's coming. We even agreed on a plan 10 years ago. Remember, 10 years ago, or 100 years ago, this was called the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm probably one of the few who carries this today. This was COP21 in Paris. And let's face it, I come back to that, we failed. We remain prisoners of three tragedies. The tragedy of the horizon, that was described by Mark Carney, now Prime Minister of Canada, who said, nobody is in charge of the future. We all focus on the next second, the next quarter, the next year, the next 5 years. Who is taking care of 2050? We make promises for 2050, but do we make them very seriously? You say, I'm going to put this on the paper. I'm not going to be there. I'm not really accountable. Tragedy of the horizon. Tragedy of the commons. That's also well documented. Everybody benefits from it. Nobody wants to pay for it. That's the simplest way to discuss the commons. And of course, the new tragedy is the tragedy of the borders, the tragedy of the bubbles, the tragedy of the tariffs, the tragedy of the checkpoints, the tragedy of everybody for his own sake. So that's where we are today. Just let me start with few staggering figures. 2024 was the warmest year ever in 175 years of temperature record. Since the Paris Accord, since 2015, we have had 11 worst years ever recorded in terms of temperature. It's a hoax, somebody said. Since Kyoto, the first major agreement on climate 30 years ago, almost $5 trillion of economic losses related in a way or another to climate and nature disaster. Last year, according to Swiss Re, 150 billion of insured losses, and it's growing by 5 to 7% every year. I could go on and go on. We all hear that, and we get used to this, and we don't pay attention anymore. So, of course, my first point, it creates a lot of disruption. At the macro level, we all know that, people which are in business in this room, supply chain, and the extreme weather events have delivered a sevenfold increase reported in 50 years. Now, running disaster is part of the cost of doing business. Floods, wildfire, heat waves disrupt agriculture, industry, and logistics, not separately, but together. Last year, the IMF, when I was at the World Bank, I could see them from my windows, the IMF paper highlighted the transmission channels of climate crisis. Infrastructure damage, GDP contraction, forced migration, balance of payment shocks, etc. It's well documented. We know how it's happening. I remember, and I may share that with you now, in 2015, Mark Carney, then Governor of the Bank of England, convened the Financial Stability Board to discuss the link between climate change and financial stability. And at first, many people say there is no link. There is finance on the one end, climate on the other end. And then we realized that with a growing number of insured losses, the insurance and reinsurance, which is a cornerstone of financial system, is being hit. We are talking about hundreds of billions. We are talking about trillions of assets, which are called stranded assets. So we have also a major link between our financial stability and climate. That's at the macro level, supply chain. It's also eating agriculture and farming. We have the growth of deserts. We have the conversion of productive lands into deserts. You have this in Sahel, in the Horn of Africa, but also in the southwest of the US. We have the disruption and dislocation of food system. The shocks are compounding, and we have chronic stress leading to decreasing yields, water scarcity, soil degradation. And of course, any further warming will accelerate the transmission between climate and our food system. I cannot forget the rising sea level. Of course, what is 5 millimeters per annum? Not much. What is 10 centimeters in 30 years? Not much. But still, it adds up. It's accelerating. 700 million people live on a coastline which is under stress. Small islands are already experiencing this. It's not just a scenario for movies, it's reality. I had the privilege to do my military service in Tahiti, in the French Polynesia, and I've been to Kiribati, I've been to Tuvalu, I've been to all these places. They are starting to disappear, literally. It's not an image. And of course, this leads to forced migration. According to the World Bank, there will be over 200 million climate refugees by 2050. 200 million refugees, meaning people which are really moving away. In today's world, we have 125 million refugees. This is the leap forward. It has an impact on labor market, social services provided, and of course, political stability. Remember the impact of the climate crisis in the Middle East, not so far from here, in Syria in 2011, the so-called Arab Spring. This was directly connected to climate change. But you also have micro-impact. I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's not hitting just the economies, the systems, the countries, it's hitting the people. A farmer who is losing his harvest because of drought, is losing income, is losing food security, sometimes losing access to school, and of course is financially destabilized. The family, let's take an example, I know there are people from Bangladesh here, whose house is swallowed by the sea. It's not just his house is disappearing, he has to migrate to the city and fall most likely in urban poverty. The fisherman who is depending on the fish that he can fish in an atoll, and the atoll becomes too salinized. That's what is happening in a number of Pacific islands, etc., etc. At the firm level, as I said, we have a shock on the supply chain. But it's basically, I remember a CEO of a large French company who say every month now I have a factory somewhere in the world which I have to close because of a drought, a fire, a flood, etc. It's normal. We get used to that. And of course, you have a number of places which cannot get insurance anymore. And of course, last but not least, as I said, the balance sheets are more fragile than they seem because a number of assets in reality have lost their value. That's what I'm trying to address. That's my commercial page with Blue Like an Orange. I'm investing in sustainability in emerging markets. And it's tough because there are less and less people willing to put money there because it's too risky. Guess what? It's a vicious circle. Of course, we tried to address this in 2015, as I said in my introduction. 2015, we agreed in September in New York on the Sustainable Development Goals. 3 months later in Paris, we agreed on climate objective with COP21. Where are we today? Very simple. On 85% of this objective, we are either late or moving backward. We are at plus 1.55 degrees, already above the plus 1.5 degrees. Of course, at that time, we were at plus 4 degrees. Now, guess what? We are between 2.5 and 3. But it's still too much. The CO2 concentration is the highest ever. And what is amazing is that last year, we spent $3 trillion on military expenses. $3 trillion on military expenses, which is roughly the amount we should have spent on protecting our planet. I'm not naive. I know why we're spending money on defense. My point is that if in 100 years from now there are still historians, I'm not sure there are still historians in 100 years from now, but for the sake of the demonstration, let's assume people will look at us and say, oh my God, this Homo sapiens sapiens, meaning very wise, this Homo sapiens sapiens, they knew their planet was about to crash, and they made the decision to spend $3 trillion on military expenses. They prefer to put money destroying themselves than putting money to protect their planet and their habitat. The irony, if I may say, and I'm coming close to my conclusion, the irony is what's going on today in Hormuz, in the Gulf. Maybe it's a trick of history. Maybe it's a wake-up call. What do we see? Rising cost of energy, rising cost of insurance, rising cost of shipping costs, shock to global growth, shock to trade, rise of interest rates, rise of debt, creating a crisis in a number of countries. What for me is interesting with this crisis are two consequences which are related to the macro trends we are discussing today. First of all, it's like a rehearsal. With a shock in Hormuz, we experienced a shock, a systemic shock. The way climate risk can also provoke a systemic shock. Again, after COVID, it's another experience. It tests the fragility of our supply chain. You mentioned it. The lack of resilience. We had made the assumption that the infrastructure, which are the backbone of globalization, will always stay. it was supposed to be not questionable, and we realize that we are way more fragile than we think. It demonstrates that when a shock point fails, the Strait of Hormuz, the whole system wobbles. It shows again that resilience is essential and that optimizing at all costs is dangerous. That's the first lesson. Shock can happen and they are tough. The second one, and maybe this is an unexpected wake-up call, the trick of history, we realize that transition is not just a nice thing to have to prevent the impact of climate change. It has become a must-have thing because of our sovereignty. Nobody will bet any longer on fossil fuels as a future of history. We realize that we are not discussing a kind of smooth transition. We are discussing a hard transformation. And as a hard transformation, it's tough because there are losers and winners, and it comes at a cost. The good news, and that's my conclusion, is that there is money. There has never been as much money available as today. Look at the money spent on AI, and my predecessor, my follower will discuss that. Look at the money spent on crypto. Look at the money spent on many things which are not necessarily so useful. So there is money. There is science. We know what to do. There is technology. So we have the plan. All the reports have been written. We have integrated climate risk in our thinking. So we have all the ingredients. We have all the pieces of the jigsaw. We just have to make the jigsaw. The big issue is that we don't have the proper governance. We don't have the political will. There is really no board of planet Earth anymore. The UN, the Bretton Woods institution don't really work anymore. So we still think that we might escape this, that we will find solution. There is a solution. I'm optimistic it's going to be all right. Well, it's not going to happen like this. We have to move. We have to act. We have to be responsible. And we don't have to expect that just the wealthy people will survive and too bad for the others. We have to remember that we all live in one planet. We all live in one ship. There is not like, even if there are separate decks, unfortunately, but we all live on the ship. So the issues we are facing is double. First, we have to recognize that the engine of our economy is not leading us in the right direction. We know it, we don't want to change it. And the problem is that to repair the engine, we need a garage. The garage is the way we organize ourselves, and it's not working as well. So we have two repairs for the price of one. Repair the garage, repair the engine. And that's really where I want to finish. In a way, today, we miss, at least some of us in this room miss the good old days where things were working. And we try to repair globalization as we knew it. The problem is that we repair it with barbels, as I say in my introduction. So we are focused too much on repairing globalization instead of creating what I would call, as this is my conclusion, planetarization. The challenges we are facing are challenges for our planet, not for a single country, not for 2 countries, 3 countries, but for 193 countries, for all of us, for 8 billion people, which are the shareholders of our planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bertrand. And now we're going to have Andy Zhang as our last speaker, but not the least. And Andy, I think everything is focusing on AI, comes back to AI, and it is the hottest topic at the moment globally, so we are eager to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to be here at the Global Summit of Women for the 3rd time now, talking about the megatrends in robotics. So, my name is Andy Zhang. I'm based in Switzerland now, and I work for ABB Robotics. We are one of the biggest companies in the world producing industrial robots. So, since I was last on the stage in Madrid in 2024, a lot has happened in the world of robotics, right? The ChatGPT moment happened in 2024, and I'm sure for all of you, as for me, there are more and more robots entering into your feeds. We see fantastic humanoid robots, either performing dance moves, doing kung fu. There is an annual humanoid robot marathon in Beijing, and this year, one robot actually ran faster than a human. You also see Videos on YouTube, for example, of humanoid robots performing household chores like cleaning your living room, or also now working in factories, in car factories, in logistics, etc. And what has led to this boom? So in 2024, there were 35 humanoid robots on the market, and they were just starting to appear. Now in 2026, there are about 150 humanoid robot models on the market, mostly from Chinese companies, then also from US, followed by South Korea, Europe, etc. So all over the world, people are building them. So there are two main factors leading to this boom. Number one is that the technology behind humanoid robots are becoming more mature, and the components that go into these products, there is a supply chain for them. You can buy these components. So that, of course, enables more companies to build them. Second is AI, right? Since the ChatGPT moment, it becomes very desirable. Hey, let's put AI together with the robot, make it look like a human, and perhaps it can do things that we humans do. So the question is, are they really able to, working factories, help us perform these manufacturing tasks and maybe even load your dishwasher? So let's take a look at the main applications for robotics. This is for all kinds of robot, humanoid, industrial, robot dogs, etc. So I group them into three main categories. There's manufacturing and logistics. There's commercial services. This includes like retail, like coffee shops, restaurants, etc. And there's home and care, such as elderly care. So let's start with manufacturing and logistics. So this is a video of Figure, who is a humanoid robot that is loading a car part, a metal part, onto a fixture in a car factory. So this is a proof of concept. Now, if you watch this video on YouTube, you will see the robot is, picking up the part, walking like this, and then putting the part onto the fixture. Now, it might look like, hey, it's able to do the job. But if you compare it with an industrial robot that, for example, we make, it's much slower, it is much less precise, and the repeatability, the accuracy, the reliability is nowhere near. So first, the humanoid robot needs to be able to do this task, and then it will be competing against industrial robots who can do this task much faster. So here, there are still a lot of development that is needed before this humanoid robot, if ever, can take over these type of tasks. Next, let's look at commercial services. So here, there are fewer industrial robots because the environment is more unstructured, there's more humans around, so it would be really nice to have these humanoid robots, pack our groceries, serve coffee, things like that, right? But that is far from the reality today. So here is another proof of concept from China of a humanoid robot handing out groceries at a convenience store. But if you look at the speed, the reliability, it is just not there. You always need a human supervisor there at the moment. So it takes a long time before these robots are capable enough and reliable enough and can do it at such speed and efficiency to really match a human. And not to mention, there are also other dedicated automation equipment, such as this one-arm robot making coffee. Keep in mind, when the humanoid robot is able to do this task, the cost, the return on investment, will then come into the picture. A typical industrial robot, like you see on the bottom here, has 6 joints. A humanoid robot has more than 28 joints. Now, when it comes to the cost of robot, every joint is a cost. So you can imagine how much more the cost of a humanoid robot is and how much more difficult it is to justify that return on investment. Last, let's look at home and care. This is really the final frontier where people want to tackle. Okay, it would be so great to have the humanoid robots in care homes or in our own homes, cleaning our house and things like that. But this is also the very most difficult because every home is different. And robots struggle in unstructured environments. I mean, putting away things. My daughter plays with a toilet paper roll. Is that garbage or is that a toy? How is this robot supposed to tell the difference? It is extremely difficult. And even when this humanoid robot tackles that task of vacuum cleaning, you can buy a Roomba for a very low price, right? You can buy vacuum cleaning robots. So then they will be measured against dedicated machines that can already perform this task. And here is a picture I took fresh from Zurich Airport. There are already autonomous cleaning robots deployed there. That is just every day constantly cleaning the airport. And it works great, and the cost is lower. So these are just some of the considerations that you can keep in mind next time you see a sensational video of a humanoid robot doing something. Now, so humanoid robots today, at least at this moment in 2026, the form factor leads to promises because we think it looks like a human, it has a head, so it should be able to perceive the world like us, and it can do things like us. But actually, the reality is that we're still in the very early days. So there's hardware constraints. Did you know that about 40% of the battery power of a humanoid robot goes to just keeping it standing, just standing? That's why a lot of them are hanging from a frame, sensing and perception. So just because it has a head does not mean it can see like you. Usually the vision, the field of view is very, very narrow for these humanoid robots because it's limited to the vision sensors that they actually have. Dexterity, 5-finger manipulation, extremely difficult. Elon Musk says this is more difficult than the whole rest of the robot added together. It is not solved today. Software and AI. So LLMs, ChatGPT, is trained on an internet full of text data. For robots, you need human demonstration data. There is not an internet full of human demonstration data. You cannot just feed YouTube videos and think the robot will learn. That's like watching videos of Rafael Nadal playing tennis and think that you can become, or a robot can become, play tennis like Rafael Nadal. No, you need to collect real human operating data. And this data is scarce and very costly to acquire. So it's a long time before there is enough data to train the AI models, the power the robot brings, so that they can take autonomous action to do different types of tasks. One task, yes. Multiple tasks, very difficult. Then there's the economics that I mentioned earlier, the ROI. As soon as a robot can do a task, it will be measured against other machines that can also do this task. And lastly, safety and regulation for humanoid robot does not exist today. There is no regulation in place, and the humanoid robots today do not have any safety built in them. The focus right now is just capability, it's not safety. So there is really a long way before these robots can be deployed into our everyday lives or even into factories. So having said that, there are many robots that are working, that are workhorses in our economy. They're working in the factories that build our cars, build our smartphones, build your laptops, that are producing the food you eat, the shampoo you wash your hair with, and these are industrial robots. They might not look as cool as humanoid robots, but they're economical, they're reliable, they're highly repetitive, and generate strong ROI. In fact, there has been a boom in industrial robots over the past decades. And last year, there were over 500,000 new industrial robots installed in factories around the world, led by electronics, automotive industries, but also metal machinery, plastic, chemical products, food, etc. And they're starting to enter medical, pharmaceutical, these type of applications. And I wanted to bring an example from right here in Turkey, a company called Çemsam that produces equipment for big factories. So they face labor shortage, and they deployed collaborative robots from ABB to help in their work. Let me show the video.
Çemsan olarak nişasta, tatlandırıcı, şeker ve bitki bazlı protein üretim tesisleri için anahtar teslim fabrikalar kuran, yüksek teknolojili mühendislik ve imalat süreçlerini yöneten bir firmayız.
ABB GOFA öncesinde manuel kaynak süreçlerindeki kalite farklılıklarını gidermek için yoğun bir taşlama ve yeniden işleme süreci yönetiyorduk.
ABB GOFA ile yaptığımız demolar sonucunda paslanmaz çelik gibi hataya yer olmayan bir alanda en iyi sonuçları aldık.
GOFA'nın sunduğu yüksek hassasiyet ve tutarlılık sayesinde hatalı işlem maliyetlerimizi neredeyse tamamen ortadan kaldırdık. Bunun sonucunda da kalite standartizasyonu, sürdürülebilirlik ve verimlilik optimizasyonu konusunda yüksek iyileştirmeler yaşadık.
So, you can see in this video how industrial robots are helping this business with welding applications. And I think you can also see that the human workers were using the robots to help them in their work. And in fact, that is the reason businesses deploy robots, is to help them grow their business. It's because of labor shortage. It's hard to find qualified labor. So that's where robotics come in to really improve the competitiveness and productivity of businesses around the world. So, now you might ask, okay, but what about physical AI, right? We still want to advance AI and put them in robots. Yes, physical AI will enhance what robots can do. So they will make robots, all kinds of robots, not just humanoids, all kinds of robots, more autonomous, more versatile. So we have listed 6 key capabilities that's important here. Number 1 is robot-human interaction. When the robots become more intelligent, more capable, do more tasks, there needs to be effective ways of communication between the robot and the human, both for the human to understand what the robot can do and to tell it what to do, and for the robot to understand our commands. Number 2 is sensing and perception. So traditionally, robots are blind, they have no sensors. Now we're adding vision sensors, but there are more sensors that's needed for the robot to be able to perceive its environment. Intelligence, autonomous reasoning, this is really where the AI brain comes in, so that it can, based on the perception it receives from the sensors, decide what I should do. Next is motion control and safety, so the robots need to be safe in a human environment, and it needs to move precisely. Navigation, robots are becoming more and more mobile, so they need to be able to navigate their way around the world in a safe way. And the last thing is grasping, like I mentioned with the 5-finger grippers, which is, I think, what we want, the final frontier. But at the moment, it's different types of grasping. Picking up an object safely so that it doesn't fly off, dexterity. So all of these are skills that we're developing to build into the robot so that they are becoming more capable, ready for the next generation of physical AI robots. Another important thing is that physical AI does not need to take the form of a humanoid robot, and it does not need to be applied to things that's not needed. Physical AI will be applied to real customer business problems. So I have another example here of real-world physical AI. So this is from fast fashion industry. So because we're all shopping clothes online, etc., logistics centers that handle clothes, they face enormous pressure. They handle enormous amounts of packages that come in boxes, bags of clothes, apparel, etc., that need to be sorted, every single one, even though they're all different, and put into the warehouse. Traditionally, this is not possible with robotics, and today mostly these are done by manual labor completely, because every package looks different. But now with physical AI, the robot is able to recognize the different packages, even though it has never seen them before, and puts them correctly into the production line. So this may not look as sensational as a humanoid robot performing this task, but this solution with an industrial robot is able to pick 1,300 packs an hour at 99.5% accuracy reliably, working 24 hours a day. So this is what I mean when I say physical AI does not need to take the shape of a humanoid robot. So to summarize, 3 takeaways for you all. Number 1, robot density is increasing worldwide, driven by labor shortage. We need robots to help us in our manufacturing, in our work. Number 2, both humanoid robots and industrial robots will be able to solve more problems with physical AI capabilities. And lastly, I believe the first physical AI deployments will be in industrial use cases, solving specific problems and with real return on investment. Thank you.
Andy Zhang, thank you so much for this presentation. It was really fulfilling. Thank you. And we should move on to Q&A part. And we only have 10 minutes left, so I would love to give the priority of asking questions to the audience. Anyone? Or I'll go ask. I have a lot of questions to ask.
Me? Yeah. Yes, good. So Julia Kurt, living in Switzerland, here as a business owner and associate with different women's organizations. My questions goes to Hande Hanım. You were talking about innovative talent management. And I would really like you to explain a bit what does this mean in real life and what should leaders be aware of, be trained or educated or supported with to keep up with all the changes which AI poses and challenges. Thank you.
Damla Harman, I think this is for you.
Yes, thank you so much for this question. All of my leaders are asking me the same question as well. And as I said, we don't have the only answers, but with reimaging the future, I will respond what you say. Our talent is reshaping because the world is reshaping as well. We need to take care, first of all, we need to acknowledge that this volatile is our new constant, and we need to change our talent accordingly. We won't be able to continue with our recruitments, with our competency areas as we have right now. We will be using AI, we will be using robotics, and we should upskill this talent accordingly. We should be taking into consideration what's happening in the world, in our business, and we should rethink how our talent will be affected from these changes in our business. Your stakeholders are changing, your ecosystem is changing, your suppliers, vendors, everything is changing. So upskilling the talent, collaboration with human, as I said, human and AI hybrid area, will be the key success factor in my view.
Thank you for the answer. Any other questions? Please go ahead.
Good morning. I have a question for Bertrand. When we speak of climate change on one side and AI on another side, there is a big elephant in the room. The impact of AI and AI development on climate change. So CO2, demand on electricity, water. How do you see the positive and negative impact of AI on climate change? Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. I think the negative impact comes first, in the sense, and we are all seeing that today. I mean, the environmental impact of, in particular, data centers and the use of AI in terms of energy requested, and still most of the energy is not clean today, even if it's changing fast, in terms of water usage, etc. This being said, I think we will make progress on that field. I mean, everybody is conscious that we cannot afford to grow at that pace, that we cannot suck all the global energy to feed the data center and AI. It's not sustainable. You still have backlash in a number of countries. I mean, some US states have referendum to refuse new data centers, etc. So that's really the pressing issues, and it's something that needs to be addressed. What worries me a little bit more is if you look forward, in theory, AI could be, like in a number of fields, could help address some of the challenges. It can help you design an energy system. It can help you design the grid. It can help you position your factories at the right place, etc. And it probably will. The big issue today, it's not that where the money is going first. In terms of allocation of resources, most of the money into AI does not go into climate change, does not go into nature, does not go into solving hunger or thirst, etc. And unfortunately, in capitalism, you need to follow the money. So I think it's very important to first of all, be cognizant of that trend, and also to force the discussion and say, how can we leverage what my neighbor has described, which is an extremely powerful tool, into the right direction. Let me say, a few months ago, I was asked something. People say, well, Bertrand, you're a little pessimistic. Look at this, this explosion of science and technology. So we will find solutions. It's probably true. But remember, 100 years ago, you might say I'm obsessed with 100 years before, 100 years ago, but 100 years ago, in 1925, we also had an explosion of science and technology. We had fertilizers, we had antibiotics, we had the nuclear, we had quantum physics, etc. And it's true that in 1925, it was super promising, and in 1950, it delivered. The big problem is, how do we go from 1925 to 1950? How do we go from 2025 to 2050? It's in our hands. It's not going to be good naturally. We have we have collectively to choose the direction. We have to choose the course. It's in our hands.
Okay, there's another question over there.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Rai of the Values Compass, author of. And I have two quick questions, so it'll be a quick fire round. First question, what value is motivating each of you? Second question, if you had one piece of advice for your 20-something-year-old child, concrete piece of advice that's actionable, what would it be? Thank you.
You're asking all of them?
All of them really fast.
All right.
Okay. My motivation is, honestly, creating long-term value. Because we will be talking about long-term value, and this will not be, as I mentioned, not on the commercial side, but long-term value for human, long-term value for the future of the technology. That's my motivation. And my concrete bold call, I will rephrase, doing nothing is the easiest thing that you can do right now in this changing world. Begin. They ask me, when should I begin? I say, yesterday. So take decision, move forward, make a plan. You can change it whenever you want, but just begin to move. Rethinking where you want to be in future, and then roll back when you are right now.
There's also the advice to your 20-year-old self.
Yes, I wish I had it.
Thank you. So I would say my motivation, I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. My motivation is to create a better future, a better world, a sustainable world for her. Advice to my 20-year-old self is, I think the world will change much faster than you imagine in your lifetime. So be ready for that. Look beyond your specific focus, what you're learning, and broaden your view. That would be my advice.
Thank you. My motivation is, I've been in a position at the World Bank where multilateralism and cooperation was at its climax 10 years ago. Now we are moving in a direction where zero-sum game is prevailing. So my message, and that's why I'm fighting, is to say cooperation is better than competition. We need to act together. We need to act as a planet. We are not in competition to see who is the best. Because if we do that, we might all lose. So that's really my motivation, work together. And my recommendation is that I keep reaffirming. Many people say, I'm overwhelmed by everything which is happening. There is nothing I can do. I'm too small, too little, etc. Everybody can do something. The vast majority of people on this planet want to live a good life, they want to live an inclusive life, they want to live a sustainable life, etc. And they are the majority. And they are not alone. We are not alone in this room. We can do something. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's time for us to wrap it up. Irene is waiting there. I would love to thank all of the esteemed speakers. Thank you so much, Damla Harman, Bertrand Badre, and Andy Jung. Thank you for your great input. And thank you for listening us, participating. Thanks a lot.